Hello and welcome everyone, this is Alex from Value Insights again, and I'm here today with the second video in our small series of 5 with 10 more mock exam questions preparing you for the ITIL 4 foundation exam in a flashcard format. So let's jump right into it. What is the difference between an incident and a service request? I would say you pause the video and we'll be back in a minute with the correct answer. The correct answer for this question is B. It says incidents are requests for solutions, while service requests are requests for information or other standard services. Well, incidents are things that have been working before but are not working right now, so we need to make sure that we put back the operation into, the usual way of working as soon as possible, and that is what incidents are for, providing solutions. And service requests, they are requests for everything else, like information, when a user calls a service desk and asks how something can be done or where they can find some specific information, or maybe they need access to some resources. That's all service requests. A says incidents are handled by expert teams while service requests are solved at the service desk. Not true. Still true, but it's not only the case, right? Incidents are also handled by the service desk and by second or third level teams, by developers, by application support or infrastructure support, as well as service requests. There might be cases where service requests are also handled not at the service desk, but at other support teams. C says incidents are handled for free while service requests are paid for. While this might be the case in some companies, you never know about the operational model of different service providers, but it's not part of the ITIL 4 foundation course to say that this is the way how it needs to be done. And D says incidents must be categorized while service requests mustn't. Not the case, both should be categorized for better reporting and evaluation afterwards. Question number 2. The following is an example of what? A company has agreed with its customers that the availability of a cloud application must be above 99.4%. Let's pause the video again and I'll tell you the answer in a minute. The correct answer for this one is D. It's a service level agreement, because it says a company has agreed with its customer, okay? And service level agreements are contracts or agreements between service providers and their customers. An operational level agreement would be true if it would be an agreement between the different parts of the same organization. And while B, which says a contract, might be true, an SLA is not always to be seen as a binding contract. Usually, if you have an external customer who buys your service, it is a contract. But nevertheless, the correct answer here is D, because in the first place, it's a service level agreement, and only in the second place, it might be a contract. And then C says it's a performance goal. While it might be true that it is a performance goal, ITIL 4 doesn't talk about performance goal in these capabilities or in these capacities. Let's have a look at question number 3. If the step of the continual improvement model is skipped, we will not be able to understand if an initiative reached its goal. So which step are we talking about? Let's pause the video again and I'll be back in a sec with the correct answer. The correct answer for this one is A. Did we get there? Because it makes sure that once we reach a certain stage in our project or initiative, we reflect back on the original plan that we wanted to achieve. Because earlier in the continual improvement model, there was a question which says, where do we want to be? And there we defined measurable targets, which will lead us to our overall goal in achieving our strategy and our vision. And in a step, did we get there? We compared those measurable goals with the actual results to see if we reach these, if we are on the right way. B says, how do we get there? That's a little bit earlier. It actually thinks about how we would like to achieve these goals, like which project management methodology we'd like to choose, or how do we want to actually achieve what we plan for. C says take action. Well, it kind of speaks for itself. So we would actually act upon the plan of our initiative, of our project that we want to implement. And D says, how do we keep the momentum going? Which is all about once we implemented this new way of working, this new initiative, this new whatever we were doing, then we need to make sure that people actually keep it working, that they don't fall back to the old ways of working before. We need to ensure a kind of a quality control that people will not just go back to how it was before, because it's often much easier than to work in a new way, or once something new has been implemented, to make that work better. Next question says, which of the following is not a part of the service value system? And I'll be back in a sec with the correct answer. And for this one, the correct answer is again A, because it's management. In the service value system, we have the guiding principles, we have governance, the practices, the continual improvement, and the centerpiece is the service value chain. Input is always opportunity and demand, and the output is always value. And while we do need management, we have not defined it as a major part or as a main part of the service value system, because the management of our services is the whole thing that we are doing anyway. It's the whole service management part, right? And then the governance part also contains some kind of management, ensuring that we reach our KPIs and that we reach our defined goals. But it's not a separate part of the service value system. Question number 5. How does the configuration management practice support the deliver and support service value chain activity? I assume you would pause the video again, so I'll be back in a minute with the correct answer. And for this, the correct one is C. It says, for the effective solution of incidents and problems, information about CIs, configuration items, is essential. And that is so true. Deliver and support is all about the operational part of our services, making sure that it runs as needed. So it's all about handling incidents. It's all about the service desk. It's about the problems that we need to handle. And if we want to make sure that we handle them most effectively, we should understand the relationship about our configuration items, how they connect to each other, which server relates to which other services, and which applications are running on which computer, and which laptop is on whose user's name, and so on. And it's all part of the configuration management practice, and within it, the configuration management database. A says it delivers essential information to planning activities related to the service configuration of the organization, which it really does, but that one doesn't relate to deliver and support service value chain activity, but to the plan service value chain activity. B says it provides financial information about the usage of services and configuration items. Not true, because that is asset management. And D says without the CMDB, configuration management database, no ticketing system is able to function. Not correct. They are able to function, though I must admit it's much better if you have a nice CMDB within your organization, because it allows for much better tracking and reporting if you have the possibility to connect your tickets, like incidents or problems or changes or whatnot, with configuration items that you have within your system. So you have, let's say, a clear link, which user opened which ticket, or which laptop has which ticket connected to it, or which server has the most problem tickets connected to it, because these kinds of trends can be identified later on, and then permanent solutions can be found. Next question. Ooh, this is a long one. You are the newly appointed service manager in a large international corporation. Which guiding principle will help you understand what is already in place in the IT department that could be utilized for your new ideas? I'll assume you pause the video again, and I'll be back in a sec with the correct answer. The correct one for this is B. Start where you are, because that is all about measurement. It's all about getting a picture of the current situation of your organization, your people, your infrastructure, or the resources that are available before you jump into any new initiative, or before you can actually start building your new ideas, right? You need to have a picture of what you have right now, because that can be reused, it can be recycled. Instead of buying new stuff all the time or building things from scratch, you might want to have a look around to see what can be reused, because otherwise, if you build everything from scratch or buy everything new, it's just a waste of resources. Try to use what you already have in place. Focus on value is certainly a good guiding principle as well, because it helps you understand what your customers need and want, but it's not about understanding what you currently have in place. C says progress iteratively with feedback, which would be utilized once you have an idea what your customers want and you understand what you already have, because then you can start building things that you don't have, or buying things, procuring things that you don't have. And that should be done in an agile way, in an iterative manner, while you get a lot of feedback from your customers, which will keep you on track all the time, which reassures you that you are doing the right thing. And D says keep it simple and practical, which is certainly a nice guiding principle, and I would certainly suggest to keep this in mind all the time, because we shouldn't overachieve because it's just unnecessarily expensive. We should try to focus on what our customers want, focus on value, and then try to achieve exactly that, because nobody's gonna pay us for overachieving stuff, right? Look how well the questions are balanced. Now we got a short one for the long one before, right? Okay, so the uncertainty of an outcome is called what? Let's pause the video and I'll tell you in a sec. The correct one for this is D, which says it's a risk. Yeah, because A, an opportunity, is actually a risk as well, but it's a positive risk. B says a hazard, which is also a risk, just a negative kind. C says a change, which is the modification or addition of anything related to our configuration items, which can have an effect on our service delivery. And D, a risk, is, well, that's by definition the uncertainty of an outcome. You just simply don't know what's gonna happen. It might be good, it might be bad, but it's a risk and it needs to be managed, it needs to be evaluated. And we as a service provider organization need to understand if we wanna take that risk, if it's worth it, or if it's not worth it, and we wanna mediate it somehow, or try to find a solution for it somehow. Question number 8. What are the 2 triggers of the service value system? Ooh, I think we already talked about this before at one of the other questions. You still remember? If not, I'll tell you the right answer in a minute. Okay, maybe this wasn't a minute, but the right answer for this one is C. Demand and opportunities are the input, because it might come from our customers, that they tell us they need something, that would be a new demand. But it might also be the case that we do some market research, or we just read about some cool new technology, or some new, somebody in the company has ideas about a possibility that might provide value to our customers. So these are opportunities. A says services and value. Well, no, because services are the means of enabling value co-creation to our customers, and value is actually the output of the service value system. Chances and demand, well, it's 50% true, but it's not called chances, it's called opportunities, right? And D says requirements and opportunities, again, 50% true, because it's not called requirements, it's called demand and opportunities, right? So the correct answer is C, demand and opportunities. Second to last question. How does the information security management practice support the design and transition service value chain activity? Let's give it a thought, and I'll be back in a sec with the correct answer. And the right one here is C. It says, by ensuring that effective security controls are designed and transitioned into live environments. Well, that is exactly what design and transition is about. It's about making sure that whatever we are, whatever we identified as valuable to the customer, we need to give it a little bit more thought, and you do a little bit deeper planning in the design phases. And then we need to make sure that it is transitioned into the, from development environments to test to prod effectively, where it can then be supported by delivery and support. A says by handling all security-related incidents. Not true, because that is the incident management practice. B is by enabling the CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, to prevent penetration attacks. And while good designs might prevent penetration attacks, it's not only about the Chief Information Security Officer, because he might also have, or she might also have, people in their team, or it might also be the service desk, or it might actually be any employee who can prevent security attacks. And this says by defining the priority of security-related issues, and that's again, like A, the incident management practice. So we have arrived at our last question. Sad but true, but still we are here, and the next video will follow up soon as well. You have been named IT Service Desk Lead in your organization, but users complain that the quality is strongly varying depending on which agent they talk to. So what should you do? Let's give it a thought, and I'll tell you in a minute. The correct answer for this one is A. What should we do? Well, let's introduce text scripts to be used by our agents, defining how to handle different situations in a standard way. Like predefined text elements they can use for the handling of different issues, or maybe for the handling of different customers or difficult customers. Right? Because that would allow us to create a standard quality, because all of our agents would be communicating with the same quality, right? B says ask the user for the names of the agents so you can talk to them. well, it might certainly be a good thing to talk to your people. Nevertheless, it's not a quality insurance. And on the other side, I'm not sure that all the users would remember all the names of the agents they ever talked to, right? C says, escalate the situation immediately to your superior. Well, that would not be a very nice thing to do, right? Maybe first you should talk to your people, or first you should understand the situation a little bit better before you escalate directly to your manager, right? And then D says, generate reports on the amount of tickets handled by each agent and analyze them for issues in the documentation. While issues in the documentation might lead to quality problems, it will not help you to understand how the agent actually talks to the customer on the phone. There might be huge differences in written documentation and spoken communication, actually. So it's much better to introduce text scripts, as said in answer A. So this is it. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you liked it. If so, please give it a thumbs up, share it, talk about it with your friends and colleagues. You know, maybe they need also some help with the ITIL 4 foundation exam. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video. So, well, happy learning.
Value Insights. Agile by vision. Trainers by passion.